Today for our daily cancellation, we turn to the New Yorker and its recent write-up of two books that both, quote, consider the ethics of procreation in the age of man-made climate change. Now, the title of the article puts it in even more dramatic terms. Quote, the morality of having kids in a burning, drowning world. The question of how you can burn and drown at the same time is never answered. Instead, what follows is a long meditation of the ethical quandaries of choosing to have children in a world that is supposedly hurtling towards ecological Armageddon. The writer of the article, Jessica Winter, begins by recounting the time when she read a newspaper article with a, quote, an apocalyptic 50-year climate forecast and resolved in that moment to never have any kids of her own. But she soon confesses that she did end up having kids, two of them who are now 9 and 6, and she now seems to be plagued with doubt and guilt because of her choice to have kids, a decision that she insists is ethically complex. She tells us about the two recent books revolving around this question. One of them is called The Quickening, and it was written by a journalist who spent some time with scientists in Antarctica. And she reports that the ice in Antarctica is melting and we're all going to die soon or something. Reading from the article, quote, Antarctica is nature's egg timer, poised to tell us when we're fully cooked. But for Rush, the author, the continent presented a different kind of threshold, a prologue to a personal transformation. Quote, the year I go to Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica is also the year that I decided to try to grow a human being inside of my body, she writes in The Quickening. The central paradox of The Quickening is the private urge toward the creation of human life coexisting with intimations of its imminent destruction. Quote, should I have a child, their greenhouse gas emissions will cause roughly 50 square meters of sea ice to melt every year that they're alive, Rush writes. Just by existing, they will make the world a little less livable for everyone, themselves included. Now, the idea of making your own life less livable by living in the first place is, of course, totally nonsensical, but there isn't a lot of time to reflect on that bit of nonsense. The article continues, quote, the author draws an implicit parallel between putting off having children and humankind's delayed reckoning with climate change. All at once, she writes, I seem to have discovered myself sitting almost at the limit of a thing, wondering how much longer I had to act. She juxtaposes the shattering of the Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica and the bodily wreckage of childbirth. Now, admittedly, this is something that you hear from women all the time. I can't tell you how many times my wife, during her 4 pregnancies, said to me, you know, man, I feel just like the Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica. This is something women say all the time. And we go from there, we get more reflections on the moral complications of having children. Quote, having a child is at once the most intimate, irrational thing a person can do, prompted by desires so deep we hardly know where to look for their well springs, and an unavoidably political act. According to Meehan Christ, who wrote in the London Review of Books in 2020, that essay, Is It Okay to Have a Child? The title paraphrases a question posed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York, in an Instagram live stream, is the lodestar of a growing body of commentary that debates the morality and ethics of procreation in this burning, drowning world. Quote, it seems increasingly clear, Chris continues, that we are living in a time of radical destabilization of life on Earth, which complicates the act of bearing children in ways that society has yet to grapple with. Activists have attempted equally radical responses to the moment. The women of the short-lived birth strike movement, which garnered attention at the end of the 2010s, renounced having children on account of the ecological emergency, although their message was often misconstrued as a Malthusian appeal for population control. Now, we're then told about the plummeting birth rates across the Western world, although the writer says that it's unclear, all in all, precisely how much correlation exists between rising awareness of the environmental crisis and steady declines in the U.S. birth rate, which dropped for 6 consecutive years through 2020, reaching a historic low. This is a question taken up by the other book, The Parenthood Dilemma, in which the author, quote, portrays her own ambivalence towards becoming a mother and the ambivalence among millennial and Gen Z women, more generally, as the result of a complex and extremely familiar interplay of factors. Now, one of the major factors for the author, Gina Rushton, is climate anxiety, although there are other concerns that have led her to be, quote-unquote, child-free, including the, quote, persistent imbalance in the division of domestic and emotional labor in heterosexual partnerships. Now, by the end of the article, we're not given any final clear verdict on whether we should have kids or not. I read all the way to the end, eagerly hoping that I would find out for sure whether I should feel racked by guilt for having 6 kids and perhaps single-handedly melting what remains of the Thwaites Glacier, whatever that is. Instead, we're left with uncertainty and doubt and a lot of ruminating about the complexities and nuances of producing our own little carbon dioxide machines. It's a very complicated question, we're told, very difficult to discern. Who can say for sure whether we should have kids or whether we should stop having them and voluntarily embrace the extinction of our own species? For most homeowners, window replacement isn't something that they've done before, and for many, it isn't something that they want to do, but rather something they have to do. Well, if you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, I have great news for you. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and a free price quote from Renewal by Andersen. Renewal by Andersen's signature service is committed to giving you the best customer service experience possible through the perfect combination of the best people in the industry, a superior process, and an exclusive product. Right now, Renewal by Andersen is offering a free in-home or virtual consultation on durable, quality, affordable windows or patio doors for $0, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. All you got to do is text Walsh to 200-300 for your free consultation to save $375 on every window and $750 on every door. These savings won't last long, so be sure to check it out by texting Walsh to 200-300. That's Walsh to 200-300. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Go to windowappointmentnow.com for full offer details. Well, I've got a holiday gift idea that's sure to make you the hero of the season. Now, we all know that the holidays can be a bit hectic. The shopping, cooking, the never-ending list of things to do. But fear not, because I've discovered a gift that's not just thoughtful, it's downright transformative. It's the gift of Genucell skincare. From now until Christmas, Genucell's most popular package has a special discount just for my listeners at Genucell.com/Walsh. Treat yourself and your loved ones to the absolute best skincare in the world. Those troubling forehead wrinkles, fine lines, skin redness, and yes, even a sagging jawline will disappear right before your eyes with Genucell's most popular collection. Genucell promises immediate effects. You'll see results in less than 12 hours guaranteed, or your money back. You know, Genucell sent down a ton of products for the entire office. I can't even put into words how much better their faces look because of Genucell. Everyone now disgusts me a little bit less. It's like a early Christmas present for me. And you also deserve to look and feel your best this holiday season. So go to Genucell.com/Walsh to get this incredible holiday discount. Every order today is instantly upgraded to free express shipping. That's Genucell.com/Walsh today. Well, maybe New Yorker writers and feminist authors can't say for sure, aren't able to answer that question, but I can. And the answer is that we should have kids, and we should have lots of them. And I don't think we need to spend a lot of time here pointing out how climate alarmists have been prophesying the apocalypse for decades, and yet every forecasted doomsday has failed to materialize. What they're claiming about the climate is not fundamentally true. Whether global temperatures are going up or staying the same or going down, it doesn't matter. We are not heading towards the apocalypse. The world is not ending anytime soon. Or, I guess I can't say that for sure. Who knows when it's going to end? If it does, it likely won't be because you drive an SUV to work. The world will end when it ends. And there probably isn't anything you can do one way or another about that fact. What should concern you more, what you should spend more time thinking about, is that your world, you yourself, will definitely come to an end in a relatively short amount of time. The Earth and the human species will most likely still exist 100 years from now, but you will not. And that's something you should consider. And as I've argued in the past, I think paradoxically that people focus on the climate apocalypse because they don't want to think about their own personal death. They're taking the anxiety over their own mortality and kind of funneling it into this broader concern about the fate of the planet. And then they start advocating for policies and laws and various political and economic solutions that might prevent this apocalypse. And they do that because there's no political solution to your own mortality. And that's what makes it scary to think about. But there are political solutions to the climate apocalypse that they've invented in their heads, which is why they prefer to think about that instead. But this is all somewhat beside the point, because no matter what's happening with the planet, we should still have kids either way. And it's not a complicated question. The other option as an alternative to procreation is extinction. If we did all make the ethical choice to not have kids, that would be the end of all things. It would be the death of humanity itself. We will have allegedly saved the planet by removing the reason that the planet exists. Because what makes this planet special, makes it unique in our entire solar system, is that it is host to advanced, rational, self-aware creatures who are capable of creating civilization. The planet has value because we value it. We cannot preserve that value by getting rid of the people who give it value. And more than that, having kids is what we're made to do. You know, it's always funny to me that the people who are always trying to, quote unquote, problematize procreation, these are almost always liberal atheists. And yet, from an atheistic perspective, we are nothing but Darwinian biological machines. And in that case, literally our sole purpose on earth is to procreate. That's the only reason we exist. If you are an atheist and you decline having kids, then you have rejected the only reason that you exist on the planet. So your life is now quite literally pointless by your own view of things. It is only on a theistic view of life that you can find deeper purpose beyond the propagation of the species. And yet, on that view, the correct view, still one of our deepest and most central duties as people is to bring up the next generation. Be fruitful and multiply is the first command given in the Bible for a reason. Which means that either way, no matter how you slice it, the idea that we shouldn't have kids is not only wrong, but it is so absurd as to be basically incoherent. It's like saying that a tree has a responsibility to not grow, or a bird is duty-bound to not fly. That's what they're made to do. And of course they should do what they are made to do. That's not even a question. Certainly it's not a useful or worthwhile question. So yes, go have kids. Add more human life to the planet. Eventually you'll die and your kids will die, and probably very long after that, the planet will die. That's the way of human existence, which should not be seen as an argument against human existence, which should be pretty obvious. And that's why really anyone worried about the morality of having kids in a burning, drowning world is today canceled. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.